Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh for both our respected supervisor and examiner for today, and welcome to our presentation on our research project of Islamic Banking and Finance 1 on the title Factors that Influence Students to Participate in the Learning Process in University Malaysia Kelantan. First of all, let me introduce our group members. They are Nurul Hafizah binti Muhammad Fauzi, Nurul Hanis binti Halim, Nurul Hanis binti Muhammad Nazri, and also Nurul Izzati binti Faisal. An overview for this study is the learning process is an important element in ensuring the students are able to keep track on the subject being presented. The learning process is considered to reach the target when there are many students are actively participate in the learning process. The purpose of this paper was to study the factors that influence students to participate in the learning process in University Malaysia Kelantan, and also aims to help the researcher to better understand the factors that could make students more active in the learning process. This study analysed the effect of the environment, interpersonal and also intrapersonal towards the learning process of the students in University Malaysia Kelantan, and also the literature review and also several past study from other researchers had been used in this paper to support our study. This study used quantitative method and the data collected from simple random sampling by using questionnaire to 335 respondents from both faculty FKP and also FHPK in the University Malaysia Kelantan, and the data then will be analysed using the SPSS version 26.
Of analysis for this study is University Malaysia Kelantan from City Campus, and unit of analysis is individual. For background, first of all, I will explain about the learning process. Learning process is about the improvement of the person's skills, knowledge and behavior to be better in the particular field they choose. Learning is very essential in human life, and good education is important for the development of the country, and at the same time, it helps the country to decrease the illiterate rate in the society. The process need the student to be active and engagement in the classroom. Teacher-student interactions is also important, such as the way of teaching method used by teacher at the traditional or blended learning. So from this, successful learning process can happen in a classroom where the interaction between the lecturer and student interact actively and participate in the learning process.
Gap of research. Okay, in this slide, we have 3 gaps. The first one is previous study shows that students need attention and encouragement from their parents and lecturers. And then the second one is many researchers show external and internal factors can affect the student motivation in the class. And the last one is existing research was conducted in 2012 where AFS4112 have not yet been occurred. Alright, the next slide is mean contribution. In this slide, we have 3 types of things. First is theory. In this theory, it explains absolute evidence on the IV that explain the result. Next is methodology, where we use quantitative method and hand out a questionnaire to the students. And the last one is practical, where we use these studies to help the university to increase the participant of students in the class. Next, okay, problem statement. In this problem statement, we have 3 things. First is student become passive. The first intention they want to involve in the learning is because they want to learn. But in the learning process itself, they become passive. Number 2 is they develop themselves as a failure, and because of that, they less participate in the learning process. However, they try to seek another way to participate in the process and to gain information. And the last one is public speaking. The public speaking that have in the class make them feel less spirit to participate in the learning process.
Next, there are 4 research questions and 4 estimated answers has been developed for this study. First is, what is the relationship between the environment and the participation of the students in the learning process? The expected answer is, the good environment could motivate students to participate in the learning process. Second, what is the relationship between the interpersonal and the participation of the students in the learning process? The expected answer is, the interpersonal of the people surround the students could motivate them to be active in the learning process. Third is, what is the relationship between the intrapersonal and the participation of the students in the learning process? The expected answer is the student will be active in the classroom when they have a high confidence level. And the last research question is, what is the factor that has the highest ranking to influence students to participate in the learning process? The expected answer is there will be a factor that has the highest ranking, either the environment or interpersonal or intrapersonal. Next, there are 4 research objectives have been developed for this study. One is to study the effect of the environment towards students' participation in the learning process. Second is to study the effect of the interpersonal towards students participating in the learning process. Third is to study the effect of the intrapersonal towards students' participation in the learning process. And the last one is to study the factors that has the highest ranking to influence students to participate in the learning process. Next, we are moving to the underpinning theory in this study. A theory that had been related to this study is the emotional intelligence by Baron 2006. There are several studies focused on the role of emotion in education, and this emotion could determine the student whether they will be passive or active in the learning process. And this has been supported by the previous studies such as from Fernandez, Brocal, and Estimira 2006. The reason why we choose this theory is because the factors such as the interpersonal and intrapersonal have been explained could bring to the effective performance, which had been adapted with the effective learning process for the students. Besides that, the environment factor had been adapted from the adaptability of the student to cope with the social environment in the learning process. This theory had been proven by the previous studies such as from Martin, Marquez, and Brackett 2006, where their findings show there was a positive correlation between the students' emotional intelligence and their academic success.
Okay, we move to the hypothesis in this study. H1, there is a significant relationship between the environment and the participation of the student in the learning process. H2, there is a significant relationship between the interpersonal and the participation of the student in the learning process. H3, there is significant relationship between the intrapersonal and the participation of the student in the learning process. H4, there will be one factor that has a higher ranking to influence the student participate in the learning process. Okay, next, the purpose of the research is to examine the factor of student to become passive in the learning process that may affect their learning process, which is environment, interpersonal, and intrapersonal that may affect their learning process. Research methodology. In this study, researchers used the quantitative approach to determine the relationship between independent variable, where environment, interpersonal, and intrapersonal, and dependent variable learning process within a population. Next is research process. The research process can help researcher to plan his study by providing several steps to be followed for conducting a research. First of all, for this study is we identified the research problem. The research problem for this study is university students less participate in the learning process. After researcher identify the research problem, next step is review the literature. The literature review will be choose and focus only from the research problem that has been identified at the first step. Literature review from past study can highlight relevant term and significant finding and framework for this study. Next, from literature review, we generate the hypothesis. After that, we construct a framework and variable for this study. The framework for this study is conceptual framework. The variable for this study, for independent variable, there are 3 factors, which is environment, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. The next step is research plan. Research plan is the overall design to conduct research. The questionnaire will be used in the study in order to collect the data from respondents.
Alright, research strategy. In this slide, we have 4 types of steps. First one is initiation, the second one is integration, the third one is implementation, and last one is interpretation. As a summary for this step, first we analyze and identify the issues. Next, we go to the measuring the instruments, and then we do some several tests before we hand out a real questionnaire to the participant, and then we go to recollect the data, and we analyze and do some interpretation activities.
Population and sampling. Population for this study is students from faculty FKP and FHPK, where they are from second and third year students. The reason why we choose University Masa Kelantan City Campus is to cut the cost and time constraint to collect the data. And for sampling technique, the method we choose is probability. Sample random sampling will be used in this study. The total population for this study is 2,450. According to the table, Krejci and Morgan, 1917, we will choose the population at 2,600, which is equal to 335 responded. The reason why we choose more than the actual number is because there will be reduced bias in the result.
Okay, next, this study used primary data collection method, as this study was said to be quantitative research. There are 3 instruments in this study. One is instrument measurement, 3 dependent variable, and 1 dependent variable has been specified in the conceptual model. Indicator variable measure item, adopt and adapt for the study. From Kurnawan, Zakaria and Abdullah in 2012 and Majid, Monsu and Had in 2011. This questionnaire consists of 5, which is A for demography, B, C and D for independent variable and E for dependent variable. Will be used in English and Malay language. 6-point Likert scale will be used to collect the data. 2 instrument validity. Validity explain how well the collection data cover the actual area of investigation. The subtype of various form validity test as follow: face validity for pre-test, content validity for aspect variation, and construct validity for factor analysis. 3 is instrument reliability. To ensure the survey instrument has reliability and stability, a pilot test will be conducted on a minimum of 30 students. Reliability test use combustion alpha coefficient and Pearson correlation. It has been indicated that 0.7 is unacceptable. Lastly, multiply linear regression. Use multiply linear regression because of this analysis should high ranking result from one of these factors.
Alright, the last slide is data analysis. In this data analysis, we use quantitative method and questionnaire that can be handed out to the student. And the data will be analyzed by using SPSS Vision 26, the latest one. And the last one is interpretation, where we construct and test the hypothesis. That's all. Thank you.